Wake up with Matt in the morning.
Oh, hey, Matt here with Matt in the morning. Hey guys, guess what we're doing today? We're doing stew canned in a pressure canner. What? Listen, I'm getting into some new stuff like food storage, food prepping, and so yeah, I've been getting into canning. I've done applesauce, jams, jellies. Those didn't really turn out. Working on that. Pickles, I say pickles. Spicy peppers, been doing a whole lot of stuff. So then got this pressure canner because I really wanted to get into meats. Meats and anything with low acidity, which requires a pressure canner. I'm not going to get into the debate. I found out that in the canning world, just like the barbecue world, there's 50 million and one ways to do something, and everybody's got an opinion on it. So let me just say that yes, there's people that will water bath meats, burger, whatever, for 3 to 4 hours, or you can pressure can it for, depending on if you're using a quart jar, 90 minutes. Just look it up. I'm not going to do a video on the safety and there's just too much going on with it. Now I will say, if there's interest in pressure canning and somebody's like, hey, I'd love to see a video on how to use this pressure canner. It's a Presto 23 quart. Let me know. I can do a video. I can just like whip something up and do a video that's just focusing on how to use this thing. But we're not going to focus on that today. We're going to focus on what we're doing here, which is beef stew. So down below, here we go. You can see what I've got is some stew meat. I found some of this was already cubed up, and then they didn't have enough already cubed, so I just got a chuck roast, cubed it up myself. And this is about a half a pound, roughly. This right here is roughly 1 large potato chopped up. This is 1 carrot sliced up. This is about a medium onion, about a small onion. It's about 1 small onion. And this is celery. That's probably 1 stalk worth of celery, give or take. So, oh, and over here, salt, pepper, garlic. Of course, why wouldn't you? So the thing is with this, there's no measurements. I'm gonna have the ingredient list down there, but it's, you know, if you wanted less carrots, put in less carrots and more onions, whatever, doesn't matter. So I didn't measure anything out when I put it in the individual jars. Just know that the ingredient list will be for 6 quart jars. That's what I got. What else? Also for the liquid, I just want to point out here, I'm using store-bought beef broth. I eventually want to get into making my own broth. I'm just not there yet. I'll do a video on that, of course. So it's just store-bought beef broth. You could use water if you want, but whenever anything says add water, I like to go with broth, just to add another level of flavor. So that's what I do. I'm not going to get into it in this one, but you can also what they call raw pack this, where you don't put any liquid in it. That's not what we're doing though. We're going to do it like this. So anyways, here we go. So you got your jar, sanitized, clean, ready to rock and roll. And I'm going to layer first the meat. Plop that in. And now some people might say, well, why do you layer it? Is there a reason for the layering? And for one, when you're doing this in when you're doing more than 1 jar, what are you gonna do? Have a gigantic pot and mix it all up? And then it's inevitable you're gonna have more of one item and this or that. So it's just easier for the production to just have all your ingredients laid out. Take your jar, boom, 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 next. Oh, and I am kind of packing it down with this mallet here. You can use whatever, but just to kind of get it packed in there. Next, I'm going with celery. Drop that celery right in. And again, the beef is raw. We're not pre-cooking this. What you see is, these are all raw ingredients. We're just dropping in. I'll drop these onions next. You could use different onions if you wanted. I thought about getting some red onions, mixing it in here. I obviously didn't, because I don't have those. I'll drop those in. Next we're gonna cut. Yes, I washed my hands. Somebody's gonna be like, hey, you don't have gloves on. Did you wash your hands? Oh, hang on. You know what? You guys get to talking to me. Salt, pepper, garlic. Forgot that. Sprinkle that in. I also, just as a side note, I do what you want, but when I get broth, I like to go with the salt-free. I like to be able to control the salt intake going into the foods. If you get too many store-bought stuff has too much salt, and like, you can get crazy. Also, side note to the side note, the next house we get, we're planning on having some land to have a bigger garden. So ideally, all this stuff, well, I guess except the beef, is gonna come from the garden. So there's that. So salt, pepper, garlic, got that in there. Ooh, some carrots. Mine is a little bit heavy carrots. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Next time I'd probably smush that in there. Next time I'd probably go a little less carrots, but it's whatever you want. Get these potatoes in there. Potatoes, it's about 1 potato per jar, but again, how much? You know, if I cut down on the carrots, I could probably go from 1 potato to 1.5 potatoes. And you can see that on this plate, you can see down there that the plate, that's a lot of food. So whatever you think your family eats, I know some people that'll say, well, 1 jar is good enough for me. That's fine. You know, for us, I think 1 jar, 1 jar with a couple of sides would be good for my family. So, you know, okay, so what we want to do is get it to 1 inch of headspace, which is about this first notch here. Okay, got a little bit of room there. Yeah, I think that's about all we're doing, guys. So as you can see down on the GoPro, we got some extra. I'll throw that in a baggie and cook that up later. So now we have, boom, boom. Look at that. It's cool looking, huh? So many different ways you can do this too. So now I'm going to take the broth, as you can see down here. I'm gonna bring it up to that 1 inch mark. You don't want too much because during the process of the pressure canning, that thing's gonna get super heated, right? I'm running 10, 11 PSI, so it'll be 240, 245 degrees. So that's just gonna be rocking and rolling in there, right? Killing all that, all the bacteria and garbage. And it's gonna be pushing out. It's gonna be pushing any air, anything out. So if your headspace is too high, you're gonna start siphoning. And then you take the risk of not having a good seal. There's my sealers on top. You want that ring to get a good seal around the top of that glass jar. And if you're pushing out all this liquid and then whatever fats are in the meat coming out, you do risk not sealing it. So that just means you gotta eat it earlier. Next step, again, we'll get into more of this if you guys want to with canning in general. I'm gonna do some debubbling. So I'm gonna kinda hold that down, pack that too tight. Just gonna jam this stick down there just to kind of get that broth work down into that jar. And it's also, you're probably not gonna be able to see this. I can see it on the sides of it though. It's pushing up any bubbles, air bubbles that are trapped in it. You don't want any of the, bam, bam, there we go. I got some serrano peppers. I should have dropped some serranos in, but I didn't. Okay, there we go. Up to that 1 inch headspace mark. So now, all I'm gonna do is clean the top. Get a napkin. I'm using vinegar because vinegar will cut through any fat, any grease, whatever that might be on the top of this jar. It's gonna kind of cut through that, you know what I mean? Because again, this is about getting a good seal. That's the whole goal here. I guess there's lots of goals, but I want to get a good seal on this thing. so this thing, so I can store it, you know, for, they say 2 to 5 years. It's a big span, 2 to 5, what's the difference there? But the thing is, I'm into canning stuff that I'm gonna use. So I'm gonna cycle through it. Yes, I want it for food storage and for emergency preparedness. If something crazy happens, I wanna know that we can eat good for a while. That's one goal of having this. The other goal of having this is to have it on hand. Hey, I'm hungry. Oh man, I don't wanna make anything. Let me go to the basement and see what I got. Boom, stew. Let's go. So yeah, pretty excited. So I just wiped the top with vinegar. I'm gonna put the top on. You're not gonna crank down on it. Just gonna snug it up, just finger tight, that's it. because you want any air and all that stuff. I probably should put some more broth in to escape out of here. So yeah, I'm gonna drop it in this pressure canner. Boom. There we go. So, I'll be back. I gotta run this. I gotta sit here and watch this thing for 90 minutes. I gotta do the whole process, do the deal, which is fine. I'll be back. Okay, there we go. Pressure cooking is done. Don't know why I'm pointing back there because it's over here. 90 minutes, did the whole process, you know. If you don't know, I'll do a video on it. I'm not gonna go over that. Came out looking good. I'm gonna hold one up. You can see down here on the GoPro cam. Okay, real quick, let me show you. If you can kind of see into the pot, water's looking a little murky. So what does happen is you do have, that was a low, you are gonna get some siphoning that will come out. Not a big deal, don't worry about it. Like I talked about before with not having more than you need for liquid in here, you just don't want too much to siphon. You're gonna have it. The couple times I've done this, I've always had something getting into the pot, as you can see. Not a big deal. So let me find one still bubbling. This one I should have had a little more liquid. It's okay though. So if you can see, we're still boiling. When you pressure can, like I said, it brings it up to between 240 and 250, depending on, well, and more if you if you're at a higher elevation, a higher pressure, it's gonna be even hotter. That stuff's still boiling. So at this point, you just wanna let them sit. Let them sit for a day. I'm gonna move these to the back side of the counter and they're gonna sit till tomorrow morning. And at that point, I'll mark the dates on the top, what they are, and put them in the basement. Oh, and then you'll check to make sure they sealed. You're gonna push down and make sure they're all sealed. Then you'll take these rings off. I take the rings off because I don't want a false seal. I take the rings off, and anyways, we can get into that another day. Again, this thing's boiling pretty good. So there we go. It doesn't look as pretty as when, you know, before we put the liquid in and do the pressure canning. But at that point there now, once we're in the basement, it's gonna be, okay, we want some stew, great. Open it, drop it in, reheat it. Maybe add some more seasoning depending on what you want there. You're good to go. So I'm excited about this. I'm gonna start getting into canning more meals like this. I also did, I'll do another video on it, but I also canned just ground beef. Anyways, and that'd be great for tacos, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna do taco night. Boom, boom, let me take this, drop it out, throw it in the skillet just to brown it up a little bit, add a little taco seasoning, I'm ready to go. Oops, I think I heard a pop. I'm using my earbuds, so I don't know. Maybe it's just, maybe it wasn't. Anyways, there we go. This turned out great. I'm excited. If you like having food ready to go, if you like emergency preparedness, if you, yeah, I guess those two things. And for me, it's both. It's emergency preparedness and it's just having these meals ready to rock and roll. You know, I got a 3-year-old and one that's gonna be here pretty soon. So like, there's times where life is just hectic. It's like, what are we gonna do? I could grab 1 to 2 of these jars. Boom, we got some good food for everybody. I'm gonna get into canning some green beans as well. So then it's like, boom, we got the main dish, we got the side, let's do it. But then I think, you know, what if you have a natural disaster? What if you got a tornado or wherever you might live? Think of whatever natural disaster you might have where you can't leave for a few days. Well, or you lose power for a few days. Stuff in your fridge isn't gonna be good the whole time. I wanna be able to have something where I can still feed my family a good meal. So anyways, I'm happy with it. Let me show you again. It's another one. You can see some of the fat in there, all that kind of, I tried trimming some of the fat, but you're not gonna get it all. Not a huge deal. Yeah, looking good. All right, there you go. Hope you like this video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, comment, like, share this thing, and let me know down in the comments if you're curious about pressure canning and want me to do a video on just what I do with the pressure canner, my process of getting it going, because I don't just drop them in, turn it on, close the lid, walk away. I was with this thing for like the whole 90 minutes. And it's a whole process before you start the timer and blah, blah, blah. So let me know if you're interested in that. I can drop some videos there as well. And yeah, anyways, hope Hope you have a great rest of your day.